Welcome to Unapologetically Anxious Me, Confessions of a Haitian Girl, the podcast where I blend life, love, sex, and relationships with mental health, social issues, and history, all from my very unabashed perspective. Join me, Joe Ciceron, as we unravel the power of vulnerability, celebrate storytelling, our history, and connect with incredible individuals who have tales to share. Let's dive deep into our essence and the narratives that mold us, because in this space, we believe in the magic of authenticity and the beauty of being unapologetically you.
Welcome back to another episode of Unapologetically Anxious Me, Confessions of a Haitian Girl. I'm your host, Joe, and we are back with a new episode. We are on my brand new set, which I have been so excited to unveil. This is my first solo episode with my husband in a very long time.
It has been a hot minute.
Yeah, it's just been me and guests, but we have so many things that we want to talk about and fill you in on. And I'm just so proud of the work that I've been doing, and we have a lot of changes going on. We've had quite a few hardships, but we are moving forward. We are thriving. We are doing so well, and I'm just really proud of us. I'm really proud of where we're at in life, and I'm really excited to share that with you, and just thank you for being our big supporters. Again, if you are not following us on social media, follow us on Instagram at Unapologetically Anxious Pod. Also on Facebook, Unapologetically Anxious Me. We are also on TikTok at Anxious Me Pod. Definitely make sure that you are supporting all of my content that is out there. I am in the middle of working on my new book, and I will be letting you know as much as I can what is going on with that, when I am going to be releasing. I'm hoping that it's going to be this year, but I don't want to make any promises because I feel like that is a very sensitive process, and I've been going through so much personally, and I'm putting it all into my book, and I am being very gentle with myself and very graceful with myself throughout the process. And I'm really working on my healing process and my mental health right now. And I'm allowing myself to get through my grief. As a lot of you have known, this past year for me has been so hard after losing my mom last summer. Next month, which will be June, will be officially a year since I've lost my mom. And it has been one of the most devastating, longest, toughest, hardest years of my life. And it has been so revolutionizing in some bad ways and also in some good ways. And I feel like it's one of those things that I was going to go through. Everyone has to go through, and I wasn't going to avoid it one way or another. And I'm just so grateful and thankful that I have such a strong support system. I have such a great partner to go through these things with, because it was such a hard year. We also lost a lot of pivotal relationships in our lives and people in our lives. I went through a lot with family in general, and it's still a work in progress. And through it all, I have learned so much about myself and the strength and the things that I am capable of doing under tremendous stress. And this platform has been one of those amazing gifts through all of it. And if you've been following, you have seen so many guests and so many conversations that I've been so lucky.
Lots of interesting guests.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the things that I'm really excited to talk about, because we have really unveiled a lot of fun things about ourselves through some of these guests. We had Dr. Jessica O'Reilly on back in the fall, which is one of me and Lano's absolute favorite people out there. And and
one of our favorite humans persons.
Yes, definitely. She is the first person who really kind of guided us into our world of like ethical non-monogamy, into the lifestyle, into swing. That's our baby Mila. And she was just a really integral part of our lives, even long before we like made contact with her personally well over a decade ago, and well before she came onto my show and we became friends and we made a connection. And so that was a really special relationship and a really full circle moment. And I was just really excited that even just a couple weeks ago I was able to meet the creator of the show Swing, and
it was one of my favorite episodes.
That was super cool too, to meet Wendy so Miller awesome. And have a whole show with her. And that was a connection that I made through Dr. Jessica O'Reilly. And Wendy is an Emmy-winning TV producer who has done countless shows on TV across the board, not just on Playboy TV, but she has produced so many different shows. She has won Emmys for being on the Wayne Brady Show, which is one of like her biggest projects. She's done so many different other things. Look her up, follow her. She is currently the host and creator of Sex Ed the Musical, the podcast, and she is amazing. She's a sexologist. She is incredible. She's got so much wisdom.
She is funny as hell.
So hilarious.
So
and
funny.
Just one of those people that, you just immediately are drawn to when you hear her speak. So definitely go and follow her and show her some love. But her, Dr. Jessica O'Reilly, definitely were some of my most exciting guests these past few months. I was really excited, and I'm still excited to be working on the Throuple Truth series, which is me being able to interview some of the cast of the Couple to Throuple reality show on Peacock TV, which has been absolutely so exciting and so much fun, and just getting to know some of the contestants from the throuples that's worked out, the couples, the singles that have been on the show, just across the board. Everyone have been so kind, so nice. A lot of people have just been so different from what you've seen on the show. Some have just been that and more, just even better than what you expected them to be. And I think that's one of the best parts of what I do and what I've been able to find in just getting back to my journalistic side and just really enjoying why I started this podcast in the first place. And that was to connect with people who are doing really cool things and just have stories to tell, and who I think are just influential and just amazing in their own sense. And having the opportunity to connect with so many amazing people the last few months have been really nice. I've talked to just so many incredible people. If you go back and look at the episodes, Shaniqua Shindai from Harlem on Amazon Prime, I absolutely had such a great time talking to her. She is a phenomenal actress and singer, performer, all around just badass. I got to speak to Yuri Lamastella, and if you're on the internet in general, you've probably seen a skit of hers where she does a lot of impressions of the Kardashians, and she's hilarious. I got to interview Lola. I am just so grateful, so thankful to be able to talk to these people and to find out who they are behind the persona that they have out there. And I think that to be able to connect with so many other content creators is so wonderful in its own right. It's something that I never really saw myself doing at this level, and so it's really cool to actually see those like dreams turn to realities and see it come to fruition, and just to enjoy those conversations and to walk away with something different from every single interaction. That's been the funnest part about doing this, and I hope it just gets better, and I'm just excited. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Did you know I wrote a book? Unapologetically Anxious Me, Confessions, Stories, and Musings is available on Amazon. Go order it now. Bye! You're watching and listening to Unapologetically Anxious Me, Confessions of a Haitian Girl with co-host Lanau Ciceron.
Before I was doing all that, you were my original guest.
I suppose I am.
And we went through like pandemic times together. And I started the podcast back in summer 2019. And we were living in a small rural Minnesota town, and we still live in small rural Minnesota, but it's closer to like Fargo, North Dakota, so we're closer to like a city suburb area, so we are not as closed in to a small town as we were before for like 7 straight years before. So for the last 2 years it's been a little bit less oppressive, to put it lightly. But back then, from 2015 on to, I'd say, 2021, 2022, it was really tough for us living in Alexandria, and we faced a lot of really tough situations being a Black family in a predominantly white community. And I don't think it was something that we walked into ever thinking that we were going to have these type of experiences.
No.
We were just looking.
With a little bit of research we did before we moved here, it still didn't seem like it was going to be that polarizing.
Right. I think we were just a young family looking for a new opportunity to make a living and start over. And we were literally coming from a horrible Florida job market. And we had a 1-year-old to take care of, and we needed a new opportunity. And we came here with very little in our pockets, and we wanted to start over and build something. And when we got to Alexandria, all we knew was our brother-in-law and our sister-in-law at the time, and we didn't have many connections. And so being there, we spent a lot of years trying to cultivate our own little community, and it took a lot of time. We went through a lot of discrimination, a lot of racial discrimination we experienced.
We've learned to be more cautious about who we let around us. Of course, we're still learning.
We've experienced a lot of heartbreak, a lot of betrayal, and it's been hard. It's not something that I don't think that anyone goes into being prepared for. I do think that there's something to be said for a lot of people who are people of color who do live in predominantly white communities and how they navigate that. I just don't think that we ever prepared ourselves for this experience. And I don't think there's anything we could have done to prepare ourselves or our family and our kids for this. And looking back now, I think that's one of the hardest things for me to accept as a mom. You know, it's hard enough as a Black woman, as a Black person in general, to go through the microaggressions, to go through the hurt and the regular pain and trauma of trying to fit in, of trying to find your place, of trying to just get through life in these
different situations and these different scenarios. But I think to try to find those connections and to just make life work for you and your kids, I think those are the hardest parts. And to not be able to protect your kids from that is the hardest part. And those are the parts that I wish I could, take back. But
you are an amazing mama. You did the best with what we had available to us at the time.
Yeah.
You did just fine. And our kids are better off for it too. They're good.
Yeah.
You did good.
It's been a tough year. And I think that's been, and I'm trying not to dive too much into our personal business. That's really difficult. This year has probably been the hardest year for me. I've always been pretty comfortable with digging in deep and talking about my mental health, talking about my life. But over the last, I'd say just year and a half, maybe 2 years, it's been so much harder because life has been lifing, and it's been so much more sensitive. It's been so much more difficult to know when to hold back and what to hold back, and feeling pretty exposed, feeling pretty vulnerable, and then having that imposter syndrome pop in at the same time, because I do believe fully in the power of vulnerability and feeling like that is something that will release you and keep you from feeling burdened, and it is unleashing for your mental health, and it is empowering to share your story with other people. However, I do also feel there's an exposure in that. There is. There's that opening yourself up to criticism, opening yourself up to hurt, opening yourself up to just allowing in that negative energy and those demons. And when you've been through so much and so much intensity in the last couple years, you're just like, you really want to protect yourself and protect your energy.
Yeah. At the same time, though, in protecting your energy, though, you don't want to alienate yourself from the world,
Yeah.
So you want to, it's one of those things where you have to accept the risk and move on, because, we all have to do that.
Yeah.
Still. People still need people.
Yeah. You haven't been on the podcast since we came back from our Florida vacation, beginning of 2023.
Yeah.
So the listeners have not heard from you. We don't know what's going on with you. You've had a few updates. What has been going on with you?
Oh. Well, last year I alluded to the fact that I switched therapists and, heard some things and stuff and more things and stuff. And so I was diagnosed with type 2 adult autism spectrum disorder. And it's been a journey last year, trying to learn more about myself and, learning more. Didn't know, we knew the kids were, but, it was something that they told us that if both kids were, more than likely one of us was. And I guess it seemed kind of obvious, I suppose. But either way, it wasn't easy hearing it, because I had imposter syndrome for a while. I didn't know if I was who I was, if I was me. If does that even make sense? I was me. If I was just as a collection of different things that I picked up from everyone else around me. It was weird. But Barb definitely helped out, and
Barb's your therapist?
Yeah, Barb's my therapist. It's, when I talk about it, it's more like I want to talk about it in a sense of me, and it's hard to describe exactly still what it is that makes me different from other people. You've gotten to see it, so but maybe it's that I don't really feel comfortable talking about what it is that's like the thing that makes me different from other people. But you know, I guess the people that's closest to me kind of know that. Yeah.
Still learning about yourself.
You would say that, yeah. So I'm also seeing a psychiatrist now too. So, So again, things have been getting better, but I'm still learning. It's still something that I still think about all the time, and still learning about through our children, definitely. But you know, when it comes to me, I just still learning, still work in progress.
What's it feel like knowing this diagnosis? Being at this point in your life, also having children who share the same thing?
Well, before it was frustrating when we didn't understand what was going on with the kids, but then when we started noticing the subtle like similarities between me and the kids, and it makes it easier to understand the kids more and have a lot more patience with them, knowing that their upbringing is a lot different than what my upbringing was. You know, we grew up in a similar upbringing. Haitian households were very, very strict. So as far as finding out whether I was different from everyone else, there was no way anybody would have known that. So I don't blame my mom for not getting me tested or not knowing that maybe I was different. She knew something was different about me, but she still raised me like everyone else, you know. And, you know, I love her to death for that too, because she didn't try to treat me different from anybody else. It's cool that I can relate to them though. And I guess when Lennox found out, you know, he actually liked that. It was actually something that he actually liked. I was like, cool. It's like, oh, just like daddy, you know? Yeah, he has something in common with me, you know? So that was pretty cool. But it was, I guess, people knowing outside of like family, you know, that's the part that I was like afraid of, I guess. But
like at work?
Yeah, at work. So
what was that like?
I let like the people who I knew, like my core people at work, I let them know first, of course. And of course, people had their questions. A lot of people had their stupid questions too. You know, you don't look autistic. It's like, there's no look to it. Come on, guys. You know, and you know, like, oh, you're so normal. It's like that's not how it works. You know, I've definitely been somebody who, because I was raised the way I was raised, I definitely mask, because I know what behaviors are not, you know, or things, or some of my stims are not appropriate to do in front of people, because they'll think you're just fucking weird, you know. So you know, so I'm, you know, I know, you know, which hat to put on depending on where I'm at, you know.
What has been the response from your childhood friends and people, like family and people?
Oh, funny. Some said that, you know, I knew it. Like, I knew something was different. Of course you're different. I knew like something was, you know, but they didn't mean it in like a negative way. It just meant like, because of, I guess, my intense focus when it came to certain things, I guess. They kind of just related to that, because that's something that people who are on a spectrum, you know, that's one of the things that they do. They tend to hyper focus on things that generally interest them, or it could be things that are neurotypical people wouldn't like talk about openly in public and hyper fixate on it and want to talk about with everybody. You know, it's what we do. And you know, I tend to do that, but I'm learning, you know, since I got my diagnosis, I've actually been better about that, because I didn't know that I did that. You know, it was something I never noticed I did. So I can talk about my hobbies and everything else, or things that I like, even if it may not be something that the general public may not be, you know, keen on, or, you know, maybe into.
Like your hyperfixation on Drake and Kendrick.
That's different.
Beef.
That's different. Man, I don't care. I'm one of Drake's original haters, okay? I don't even care. I'll say it like that, man. Ever since he went and aired it out that he slept with SZA, like, I don't know how many years ago, towards like a few years into his career, I lost all respect for that man. Not that I really liked him in the first place anyway, but I never liked the way he moved. And I've just been waiting. I'm anticipating, when was Kendrick ever gonna come at him? I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen. And now it's happening. It's like, yeah, there's lots of memes on TikTok about it too, with the significant other that's like explaining to the spouse, like, yo, this is what this bar means. This is what this bar means.
My life, literally.
And it's like, it's funny though.
Long, like what, 2 weeks? 2 weeks long. No exaggeration.
Actually, it's been more like a month now, actually, since you know what I'm saying, like that came out, but you know.
Yeah, but like the last like week's been like super intense. It's been like,
this weekend has been intense. What you mean? That boy went back to back. Your boy K. Dot, Kung Fu Kenny, struck your boy Aubrey, and I don't think Aubrey's gonna recover from this. But you know, we'll see. Hopefully, he does put something out, something for the masses to like, for the Drake fans to be like, oh look, he did something. Okay, he's not afraid. You know, he's putting up a fight. You know, but it's like you said, he is what the culture's feeling. Shoo! Okay, go. Get out of here.
I think we have a lot that we have to worry about already as people of color, as Black people. Let's just be real. So, do you feel like having this diagnosis, do you feel like there's an extra level of struggle that you go through and you often feel misunderstood?
I guess finding out about my diagnosis, I went and like rewound time, like with some of the relationships I've had in the past with people, whether with people I've like, you know, had romantic relationships or just friendships, you know, or even like casual like relationships that were like just people that I just knew. You know, I realized that there were times when I may have said things maybe that were a little too blunt, or things that probably they're like, oh, I can just say this just this way, he'll be fine, you know. And I've been called on it before in the past, and you know, I guess getting this diagnosis like, oh, that's why I'm like that. Oh, okay, I didn't realize that. It's good to know that. So what do I do? Because it's not something I really think about, you know. It's not something I really think about that I do. It's just something natural that I do. I tend to it's not overshare. It's just I tend to be very direct, and you know, I'll say things maybe a truth that you may not like about yourself, or if you ask me something. It's why you've always, you know, hey, does this taste good? You're cooking, and it's like, I've never lied to you. I never lie. I can't lie. It's just, I can't help myself. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah, they're like, here he don't. So I always knew. That's how I got good.
Sorry.
He is a critic.
With my job, I just recently got certified too. I forgot to mention that part. I'm now a certified registered central service technician. So.
Exciting. So proud of my I've been so proud of you because you've been working really hard for that, and you've been doing that for a couple of years now, and you're working towards that. And so that is such a huge accomplishment for you, and I think that
Thank you.
I'm really proud of you.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, so anyways, I think that that's great. I'm really proud of you for opening up, and thank you for trusting me to talk about that and be open about that with my listeners. I've not heard a lot of people, especially Black men, talk about and be vulnerable and talk about, you know, autism and their autism diagnoses, and just even being open about like what they're going through. just watching you go through it every day, experiencing it with you. We ourselves as a couple, as a married couple, we've been together for almost 20 years this year, married almost 11 years this June. Like, we have been through a lot, and and I have seen you grow so much, tremendously.
I've seen you grow.
Thank you.
I've seen you get better and better. I'm saying,
and
real.
It's like to be able to have that kind of life partnership and to watch that and witness that in a person is incredible. It's such a gift. It's such a blessing. And I don't think that not a lot of people get to experience that. And I know that, like, that's so rare. I know what we have is so rare. And I don't take it, lightly. I don't take it for granted. And I think that it's a blessing that we are able to be here and able to do this and able to share our story and walk through this journey with each other all the time, because our kids are so lucky, and I can't wait to see what our future holds. I think we have so much more exciting things coming, and I don't think that this is going to be the last time this year that we are talking on our brand new set.
So I have a confession.
It's just you and me. Raw, real, and unfiltered. Lately, life has been a whirlwind, tossing me from one major change to another. It's left me feeling like I'm trying to find solid ground in shifting sands. But you know what? I've decided to embrace the chaos, to shed the weight of who I used to be and the traumas that have held my family and me tight since we made the move here to Minnesota. Family. It's more than just a word to me now. It's a sanctuary, a reminder that our kids deserve parents who are not just there, but truly happy. And I've learned that living life by someone else's playbook is a sure way to lose yourself. So I'm on a journey to rediscover my truth and to live it boldly, unapologetically. In a moment of vulnerability, I need to share something personal with you. Recently, I received a diagnosis of Bipolar 2 disorder. I also received my diagnosis of ADHD last year. Admitting this to you right now stirs a lot of mixed emotions in me. But I firmly believe that there's strength in being vulnerable. For that girl out there, Black or Haitian, who might feel alone in her struggles, I want you to know that I'm here for you. And I'm here with you, navigating this bumpy road together. Rediscovering my passion for journalism and storytelling this past year has been a beacon of light in the most stormiest times of my life. The incredible people I've connected with, the stories I've heard, have breathed new life into my spirit. I love what I do. It's one of my only sources of happiness outside of my family. I've been through some of the most unimaginable things in my life, but I'm here to tell you that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. If you are living a purpose-driven life, there's nothing that can keep you from going forward. Always forward. It's been such an exciting just growth process with this podcast, with this platform.
It has been. Like, I've been so proud of you watching this podcast grow, especially recently. Even with, recent turbulations and troubles, you just went and pushed forward, and now, like, look at all this, and just the work you've been putting in.
Thank you. I'm so happy that I have stuck with it, and I have kept doing it, even when it's been hard, even when I have felt like no one's listening, like no one's interested. I have wanted to give up at times, but I am such a huge believer in what I'm doing and know that
our stories and being vulnerable and sharing these stories and connecting people to each other means so much to so many people. And I just want to be part of that. I want to be part of that cycle. I want to be part of that engine. And I'm so grateful that you have supported me in that mission over the last 5 years. So thank you. And again, follow me on all my social medias, Unapologetically Anxious Pod on Instagram, Unapologetically Anxious Me on Facebook, and Anxious Me Pod on Instagram. And thank you again, hubby, for being here and for coming on my show and just for always supporting me and all that I do. I love you so much, and I couldn't be here, couldn't do this, couldn't get through any of this without you. You're literally awesome.
Thank you for having me. I love you.
Till next time, this has been another episode of Unapologetically Anxious Me, Confessions of a Haitian Girl. Bye!